If you're comparing SpotOn with Halo, you're looking for which GPS dog collar is going to most consistently keep your dog safely within the boundary that you create. And that is no small decision. Number one, it's a large investment. And number two, issues like GPS drift or boundary failure aren't just, annoying quirks of the technology. They could become potentially hazardous for your dog. Now, we've tested both of these dog collars in a variety of situations, including dense forests, suburban neighborhoods, and even just plain old wide open fields. And what we found is that one collar was consistently more accurate, while another did have some small issues arise that could become hazardous for your dog. We have links to both of these dog collars in the description below, along with their up-to-date pricing. Now, that pricing is kind of fluctuating all the time, so make sure you check through those links to get the best price at any given moment. Here is the big picture difference. SpotOn is the premium. You are going to pay more upfront for this dog collar, but once you buy it, you own it, and you can use the fencing however you want. Now, compare that to the Halo, you will spend significantly less upfront, but it does require a month-to-month subscription payment in order to use the fencing. That's not just, you get to use it a little, but there's some limitations. If you do not pay for a subscription, you can't build any fences, which is kind of the whole point of the collar. So you will spend more upfront, but you will spend, money in the long run too, if you go with Halo versus SpotOn, where you buy it, you use it. And that pricing gap isn't random, it's based in the hardware. SpotOn uses a dual feed antenna that is built to filter out signal noise from trees, from tall buildings, and from rough terrain. Now, Halo has a dual frequency GPS that is supposed to work similarly, but you can kind of tell they're doing it with a bit more of an eye towards user and pocketbook friendliness in that initial build. So yeah, SpotOn costs more because it is built different. It's better technology, better filtering, in theory, better accuracy for when your dog is sprinting towards the edge of your boundary. And that theory is what we're going to be putting to the test in this video today. Now, both of these companies are kind of running deals all of the time, which means the pricing fluctuates. So we're not going to have the pricing in the video itself. We're going to put up a QR code that you can scan, or there are links in the description below that will link you directly to the most current lowest price for both of these dog collars. If you decide to buy, QR code, links in the description, you're good to go. GPS accuracy. This is the part that matters most because frankly, if your collar doesn't know where your dog is, none of the other features matter. So the SpotOn collar was consistently more accurate across every kind of terrain that we tested in. Under open sky, in a big open field, both of the collars worked reliably. But as we headed towards, dense tree coverage or tall buildings, the gap between the two really started to widen. The SpotOn stayed locked within 3 to 10 feet of the boundary line, depending on the environment. In open sky, it reliably hit that 3-foot mark. And under, dense coverage, that did drift to around 10 feet, which does match the claims that they make. This is the kind of predictable drift that you can plan for in your design. Halo worked, but it did have some issues that relate to reliability and real-world safety. So the final warning always triggered when your dog reaches the edge of the boundary. That always fired as it should, but it was those intermediate warnings that your dog is supposed to receive as they approach the boundary that sometimes didn't trigger. In our testing, Halo failed some of those mid-boundary checks. Not every time, but certainly enough times for us to take notice and realize a pattern. And that's not just a training issue, that's ultimately a reliability issue, because if your dog isn't receiving those consistent feedback notices as they get closer to the boundary, they're not going to realize that they're at that boundary until they're already at the very edge, or potentially even across it, depending on how fast they're running. Now, SpotOn claims that 99.3% of the time dogs spend outside, they stay within the boundaries that are created. Now, for the less than 1% of sessions where a dog does leave the boundary, SpotOn claims that 81% of dogs return within 1 minute and 92.1% of dogs return to the boundary within 5 minutes. Now, fence creation is where these two collars feel completely different. So for SpotOn, you can literally walk around your yard to create the fence. You just take the collar, you walk the perimeter, and it maps every twist and turn and weird bump and angle and hill and dip, any wooded path exactly as it is. It's super accurate. You don't have to think about it. You just start the process, walk around it, hit done, and you're done. You can create a shape that makes it look like a toddler drew it with crayons, but yeah, it takes a little time, and you have to be pretty deliberate in walking the whole perimeter. Now, they also let you draw it on a map, which makes it essentially, the same as Halo if you want to go about it that way. Now, Halo is app only. You zoom in on your house, you drop the fence posts, and you're done. It's simple, it's straightforward. It's also a little bit less accurate because if your yard is, sloped or lumpy or has weird dips, Halo's not going to know about that. It's just drawing the straight lines. SpotOn also gives you keep out zones and home zones baked into the system. That means you can do kind of like fence within a fence if you have, like a pond or something on your property that you want your dog to stay out of. And it will also create a safe zone within the home so that your dog doesn't get, random corrections if they're just, laying down on the couch. Now, Halo uses beacons for indoor stuff. They're little Bluetooth pucks. They can block off rooms temporarily or turn off fence corrections if you're walking them through the boundary. It's a neat little feature, but it's a bit more of a workaround for things that the SpotOn home zone does just kind of natively. Now, here is one situation in which Halo is hands down the clear winner. Halo will work in much smaller spaces. SpotOn requires at least half an acre of space and 80 feet of width in order to work effectively. Halo can work that down to about 900 square feet. That's like one college apartment's worth of yard. And that difference, if you have a small yard, is huge. That makes Halo not just the better choice, that makes it the only choice in your situation. I should also mention, both systems work off-grid once the fence is programmed into the collar. So if you lose power or Wi-Fi or whatever, you don't have to be concerned about your dog being unsafe within the boundary. But I should note, in dense woods where GPS signals can get messy, SpotOn's forest mode does make it the more accurate option consistently. It just does a better job at handling that dense forest coverage. Halo's training is broken down into 5 parts and was developed with Cesar Millan. You get customizable alerts, prevention, warning, boundary, emergency. You also get encouragement cues like whistle and go home, and even Cesar's signature. You can send instant feedback through the remote beacon and track your dog's walks and activity with Halo Health. It's a very robust and comfortable user experience. SpotOn keeps things simpler. It's the 3-step alert sequence: tone, optional, vibration, or static. They do offer one-on-one training help, which is huge if you want that extra bit of support and personalized experience. But the app itself isn't loaded with extras. An on-demand manual feedback does require a tracking plan, meaning, an extra monthly cost. Halo bundles that in with the subscription that you're already paying for. Okay, here is a quick look at the money side. Halo requires a subscription to work at all, meaning without a plan, the GPS features and the fence will not function. They do offer bundles and multi-collar deals, so check the links in the description below for the most up-to-date pricing there. Now, SpotOn works out of the box with no required subscription. You only pay monthly if you want things like live tracking or remote feedback. But because of that, SpotOn actually does become the cheaper option over a few years, even though the upfront cost is higher. If you want to see the most accurate and current prices, we do have a QR code on the screen that you can go ahead and scan that will take you to the correct and most up-to-date pricing. These prices tend to change constantly. For battery life, SpotOn averages around 40 hours on containment and roughly 25 hours in live tracking mode, while the Halo averages around 48 hours per charge. I find both of these to be completely sufficient for everyday use. Frankly, what I would recommend is just taking the collar off and throwing it on the charger whenever your dog comes inside. You can use these collars indoors, but frankly, you'll notice when you put them on your dog, they're kind of chunky for just kind of everyday snuggling and lazing around the house. So if they're not outside, I personally don't see a reason to have it on your dog, but you know, that's just me, do what you will. Here's the part that in my opinion actually decides this matchup. In every meaningful accuracy test that we ran, SpotOn was outperforming Halo in every environment consistently and not by a small margin. SpotOn is the collar you buy when reliability is the most important factor and when your dog's safety depends on a system that's going to work every single time. Halo is good, but there is no scenario where it beats SpotOn in terms of accuracy or GPS performance. If you have a large property, especially wooded or hilly or rural, SpotOn is the clear choice. If you want custom fence shapes or off-grid containment, or you just want the most accurate system out there, that is what SpotOn is built for. That higher price tag reflects in better tech inside the collar that's going to keep your dog safe as they are running towards, a boundary or hazard or a road. Halo really only makes sense in a few situations. The first being if dropping that amount of money on SpotOn is just infeasible and you would rather spend a lower sum up front and then pay monthly, and that just works better with how your budget is set up, that makes complete sense. Also, if your yard is just straight up too small for SpotOn, Halo can probably handle it, and it will do a good job at doing so. Check the links in the description below for the most up-to-date pricing, which includes discounts that are exclusive to this channel. If you use those links in the description below, you will get a discount and you will help support the channel at no extra cost to you, which I greatly appreciate